What if I told you the brightest star in the WNBA went from her biggest triumph straight into her toughest heartbreak? Because that's exactly what happened with Caitlin Clark. This is the story of how a rookie sensation became the face of women's basketball, only to have everything flipped upside down in an instant. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the league, she exploded onto the scene. From smashing records at Iowa to instantly becoming the heart and soul of the Indiana Fever, she made the impossible look easy. Her rookie year, pure electricity. By year 2, she wasn't just holding her own, she was dominating. And then came July 2025, the moment Caitlin Clark silenced every doubt when she walked away with one of the sport's highest honors, WNBA Player of the Year at the ESPYs. Let that sink in. She outshined legends like Breanna Stewart, Aja Wilson, and Napheesa Collier, the very names that had ruled the league for years. That wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Fans were buzzing, her teammates were proud, and it felt like the beginning of a dynasty. But just as the fairy tale was hitting its peak, reality struck. In a heated matchup against the Connecticut Sun, something was wrong. Caitlin grimaced in pain, clutched her side, and the entire arena froze. This wasn't just exhaustion. She had re-aggravated a nagging groin injury she'd been hiding from the public for weeks. The cameras caught every limp, every wince, and in that moment, thousands of fans held their breath. Was the Fever's golden star about to go dark? Coach Stephanie White tried to keep spirits up, but days later, the truth dropped like a bombshell. On July 17th, Caitlin Clark announced she was out, not just for a game, not just for a week. She was withdrawing from the entire 2025 WNBA All-Star Weekend. The timing couldn't have been worse. The All-Star Game, the three-point contest, all of it was happening in Indianapolis, her home floor. This was supposed to be her moment. Fans were crushed. Clark herself admitted she was heartbroken, posting a message online with broken heart emojis, telling the world how much it hurt to step back. But in true leader fashion, she promised to show up courtside, cheering on her teammates even if she couldn't play. It was a powerful reminder. Sometimes the hardest victories are the ones where you put your health above the glory. But while Caitlin stepped aside, another Fever star stepped into the spotlight. Her teammate, Lexie Hull. Hull had been quietly lethal all season, one of the best three-point shooters in the entire league. Coaches knew it, real hoop fans knew it. And now, with Caitlin sidelined, the whole world was about to see it. Replacing Caitlin Clark wasn't just an opportunity, it was a massive responsibility. And with the event happening right there in Indianapolis, all eyes were on Hull. Could she rise to the moment? This was Lexie Hull's moment, a chance to not only rep the Fever, but to honor her injured teammate and prove to the world she could thrive under the brightest lights. But just when it seemed like destiny was calling, life threw her a crushing blow. Days before stepping in as Caitlin Clark's replacement, Lexie suffered a heartbreaking loss. Her beloved dog, Maggie, the one who had been by her side for 14 years, passed away. Lexie posted a black and white tribute online, calling Maggie the sweetest Mags and admitting that home would never feel the same again. The post was raw, it was real, and it left fans emotional. Suddenly this wasn't just about basketball anymore. Her All-Star moment was fueled by heartbreak, pride, and purpose. When All-Star Saturday finally came, the pressure was suffocating. The lights blinding, the crowd deafening, and social media buzzing non-stop. This wasn't just a contest, this was Lexie's audition for superstardom. And when the horn sounded, she stepped up with ice in her veins. One shot, swish, another, swish. Rack after rack, the net barely moved. Every make had the Indianapolis crowd roaring like she was hitting a game winner. For a moment, it wasn't Caitlin Clark's weekend anymore. It was Lexie Hull's. Even Caitlin, dressed in street clothes and cheering from the sidelines, stood up and applauded every time her teammate cleared a rack. That image, pure chills. By the time the dust settled, Lexie hadn't just filled in. She created her own moment. She proved she belonged with the league's elite shooters. And when the final scores came in, the entire arena froze. Second place, just one shot shy of winning it all. The crowd erupted, chanting her name like she had just sealed a championship. For a player who wasn't even supposed to be there, it was a breakthrough moment that stamped her as one of the deadliest shooters in the WNBA. Social media exploded. Fans called her the silent sniper. Analysts who rarely mentioned her before were suddenly posting clips of her form with captions like "How did we miss this?" And then came the moment that went viral. Caitlin Clark, eyes full of tears, hugged her teammate and told reporters, "Lexie held it down for us tonight." That single quote flipped the narrative, because instead of All-Star Weekend being remembered as the one Caitlin Clark missed, it became the one where Lexie Hull arrived. One opportunity turned into a career-defining moment, and the media, they couldn't stop talking about it. Was this the birth of a new star? Lexie Hull's performance had the whole basketball world buzzing. Sports shows replayed her flawless stroke on loop, debating if she could become a permanent face of the Fever alongside Caitlin Clark. Fans jumped in with hot takes. Some joked, some compared. Social media flooded with side-by-side highlight reels. Clark's deep bombs versus Hull's smooth release. One viral post summed it up perfectly. The Fever don't just have a superstar, they might have two. The narrative had shifted. What was supposed to be a weekend defined by Caitlin's heartbreaking absence had turned into a showcase of the Fever's insane depth. Caitlin herself added to the moment, posting a picture on Instagram of her hugging Lexie with the caption, "Proud." Within hours the post racked up hundreds of thousands of likes. But behind all the celebration, one question loomed: how long would Caitlin Clark actually be out? The Fever needed their superstar healthy for the playoff push, and fans were desperate for answers. Team doctors stayed vague. "She's progressing well, but no timetable yet." That uncertainty sent the fan base into overdrive, with theories flying everywhere. Some insiders claimed Indiana was considering shutting Clark down early to protect her long-term health. Others swore she'd push through the pain just to be there when it mattered most. The debate went viral. Meanwhile, the Fever were grinding out wins, just enough to stay in the playoff picture. Players like Lexie Hull were stepping up, but the elephant in the room was obvious. Could they really make a run without Caitlin at full strength? Then Clark broke her silence. A short but powerful message: "I'm doing everything I can to be back when it matters most. Trust me, I'll be ready." That one line lit up the fan base. Was this the promise of a dramatic playoff return? And while Caitlin fought through recovery, Lexie continued carrying the emotional weight of her loss. Her post about Maggie, her dog of 14 years, went viral. Thousands of fans and fellow players sending love and support. But two messages stood out, one from Caitlin Clark herself, and another from Sophie Cunningham. Because when the Fever were hurting, Sophie became the emotional rock, offering support, protection, and love exactly when it was needed most. Together, Caitlin, Lexie, and Sophie showed the world something bigger than basketball. That greatness isn't only measured by stats, highlight reels, or trophies. It's measured in heart by the way you lift up teammates, comfort each other in grief, and stay united when life hits hardest. And that bond, it didn't just keep the Fever alive, it inspired fans everywhere. Social media exploded with messages like, "This is what a real team looks like." "These women are role models beyond basketball." The energy had shifted. This wasn't just about wins and losses anymore. It was about love, loyalty, and resilience in the face of heartbreak. For Caitlin, Lexie, and Sophie, this chapter became more than just a tough stretch in the season. It became a story of true sisterhood that fans across the country will never forget. This wasn't about who scored the most points or who lifted the biggest trophy. It was about something bigger, how they stood by each other when life hit hard. The Indiana Fever didn't just play like a team. They moved like a family, shoulder to shoulder through pain, pressure, and triumph alike. Caitlin Clark, determined to heal and come back stronger than ever. Lexie Hull, carrying both excitement and heartbreak into the three-point contest. And Sophie Cunningham, the fire, the protector, the emotional anchor holding it all together. Together, they weren't just teammates. They were sisters, women who lifted each other up when life tried to knock them down. And that unity, it hit fans deep. Because it wasn't stats or highlight reels that stole hearts. It was the love, the loyalty, the courage to stand strong for one another. In a world obsessed with wins and losses, this moment reminded everyone that sometimes the biggest victories don't happen on the scoreboard. They happen off the court, when friendship and love outshine everything else. That's what makes this Indiana Fever team special. They aren't just stacked with talent, they're fueled by heart. And that heart was on full display when Sophie and Lexie stood by Caitlin, and when all three stood together through pain, loss and pressure. This isn't just basketball, this is family in motion, and fans everywhere are feeling it. Because when Sophie Cunningham's simple message to Lexie, "No Lex, I'm so sorry," hit the timeline, people felt the pain, the honesty, the care. It was more than condolences. It was proof of something rare in pro sports, a true sisterhood. Behind the jerseys and highlight reels are real people with real emotions, and the Indiana Fever just reminded the world of that. So here's the question for you. Does this kind of bond give a team an edge no stat sheet can measure? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the stories behind the highlights, that's what we bring you every single time. Until next time, this is more than basketball, this is family, and the support didn't stop there. Sophie Cunningham, one of the WNBA's toughest defenders and fiercest competitors, showed her softer side, standing firmly by her teammates when life hit hardest. She had already proven her loyalty earlier in the season when Caitlin Clark took a brutal foul. Who was the first one charging in? Sophie. No hesitation, no second thought, she was ready to defend her rookie. That moment told fans everything they needed to know. The Fever weren't just talented, they were unbreakable. Sure, that viral moment earned Sophie a fine from the league, but did she care? Not for a second. Because what she showed the world was priceless. She'd go to war for her teammates, no questions asked. And that fearless loyalty changed the way fans saw her. No longer just a gritty defender, Sophie had become a protector, a mentor, a big sister guiding rookies like Clark and Hull through a league where first years usually get chewed up fast. The fans loved it, so much in fact, they gave the trio a name, Lexie. Sweet like the dessert, but tough enough to handle anything the league could throw at them. Sophie leaned all the way in, rocking a custom Lexie shirt with cartoon versions of herself, Caitlin, and Lexie. The internet went wild, fans wanted it, players wanted it. And just like that, this wasn't a nickname anymore. It was a movement, a symbol of unity, of loyalty, of sisterhood. Because whether it was celebrating big wins, pushing through losses, or standing shoulder to shoulder in life's hardest moments, Lexie's was unshakable. And the truth is, this story isn't just about basketball, it's about family.